All good? Okay, good. So thanks a lot for joining our third webinar for quarter one. We have had two webinars in the past 2 weeks. And today's webinar is going to be on understanding the definition of wages with regards to Employment Act. My name is Arul, and thank you for joining us today. So I'm going to run through the couple of insights into the definition of wages from now till about 5 o'clock. So my presentation may take about an hour and a half, and then the last half an hour or so, hopefully I can finish by then, we would go through some of the Q&A. Now, I may not be able to cover all the Q&A because in webinars like this, the questions are so many. There are tons of questions raised by those who are listening in. So we may not be able to answer all the questions, but we will try to pick some of the interesting ones, some of the ones that I feel it's a good question to ask. I'll pick some of this. But I would encourage all of you all to first listen to the webinar, because usually what happens in webinars like this, people are so quick to ask. Before I could share, before the speaker explains, they already have a question to ask. My advice to HR practitioners is this. First and foremost, we need to develop the ability to listen and understand, digest. Because I tell you, most of the questions that people throw out, whether it's in webinars like this or in classroom trainings or in WhatsApp and whatnot, most of these questions are quite straightforward. But because they don't listen, they are so quick to just ask. So to me, that is not the right way to learn. The right way to learn, when the presenter, when the speaker is sharing, it is good to listen. I hope you all have a paper and pen with you. It's good to listen, take notes, understand, read it, digest, and I'm sure 60-70% of your questions are answered. And sometimes we got to look at things from a broader perspective. So for example, later part, I'm going to share with you what are the, what elements can you deduct? What can you deduct from salary? And but sometimes people quick, they're so quick to ask, can I deduct this? But if you listen carefully, the law says what can be deducted. Now, if the law did not give an exclusion to whatever that you want to ask, for example, the law says you can deduct this, that's it. Then if you ask me, can I deduct this? But if you understand how the law is written, the law says that you can only deduct this. Anything else, you cannot deduct. So we need to learn how to interpret, how to understand, listen, understand, interpret, digest. I'm sure most of your questions are self-answered, right? So I hope you can do that today. Now, my name is Arul, and before I go into my introduction, you're listening to me, you're listening from Facebook, so you guys are already members of Facebook community. Now, I would encourage all of you all, if you have subordinates listening in today or your team members, get them to join webinars like this. When you hire a fresh graduate as a HR exec, don't send them for training just yet. Because when you send them for a training, you spend about 2006, they're going to sit down in the classroom for 2 days. The trainer is going to bombard them with this theory, this case law, etc. And after 2 days, what they would have captured is probably this much. So you spend your 2,600 or so to send them for training, but when they come back, they only learn this much. So what I would encourage HR practitioners, HR leaders, business owners, get your team members to join the forum, listen to the webinar like what we're doing today. It's free. Once they have the basic understanding of Employment Act, once they have the basic understanding, then I would encourage you to send them for class. So when the trainer is presenting certain topics, certain aspects of the law, they're able to connect the dots. But if you send them and they do not know basics of Employment Act, I can tell you, they will not be able to pick up as much as what they could if they know the basics. So get all your team members to join the forum, follow the discussions. Whenever a new policy, a new template, a new document that is going to be shared, download the document, download the sample, compare against what you have. And if you see there's some areas you can improve it, right? Now, this is what we call as continuous improvement. I'm sure most of you all listening in today, you are members of the forum. But how many of you all actively download the documents that is shared in the forum? Compare against what you have. How many of you all do that? Or you only come to the forum for your problem solving? If you go to the forum for problem solving, we are not learning. We are just, today we are hungry, we feed ourselves for today, but we are not learning how to feed the hunger for tomorrow. So that, approach to me is not sustainable. What we need to do, learn, share your views, see what other people comments are, look at the documents, look at the policy, look at the templates. For example, how do we or how do we prevent an employee from abusing your medical privileges? People take MCs here and there. How do you minimize it? How do you prevent it? If I would ask all of you all, majority of you will say, oh, it's difficult, cannot, we tried. But do you know there's a way to control it? So if you want to know how, go to the forum in Facebook, go and search for medical policy. There's a sample we have shared. Download the policy, read through the policy, see all the ideas and suggestions given, the controls given, and all you have to do is just implement it. I bet my last dollar. Of course, I not able to, put money on the table, but I bet if you follow that policy, you implement what is in the policy, the abuse of your medical privileges, your MC abuse, will come down by 70 to 80%. Do you know how much your money is that? So you want to know more? Not our topic today, so I won't be able to discuss further, but go to the forum, download the medical policy, see the mechanism, the control mechanism that has been presented in the policy, give it a thought, present to your management, get your management to buy in, implement it. I bet you your medical abuse, you can reduce it by 60 to 70% or more. Now that's a big savings, right? So now, thanks a lot for joining us. You would have seen me in the previous webinar. Maybe you have attended a master class. Would have seen you in the conferences or in our academy. I probably have seen some of you all as well. So I have been, just like you guys, working once upon a time. That was I left my last job in 2021. So working as a HR GM, before that I was a HR director. And, having had the experience, working in a company with 9,000 employees, union, foreign workers, compliance, social compliance. It has been good because working in large company gives you experiences that you cannot gain working in a small company. So I would encourage all of you all, if there is an opportunity, if there's a possibility, work for a large company so you can experience, the various issues. And so I was a little bit lucky to be able to work in two companies, both at 9,000 employees, during my career. And that has given me a lot of experiences. And manufacturing is always a good training ground. So for those of you all, if you need to contact me, my email address, my phone number is down there. But please don't, text me, WhatsApp me too many times. Once or twice, okay. But or email me, etc. If you want me to review some document, I can do that. But don't abuse me, lah. Right? Sending me too many things, etc. Okay, so sorry for that small glitch. The internet connection was bad. We had to log out and re-log in. Okay, so before I begin, I'll do a bit of speed up just to catch up for the time that we lost a while ago. Now, common slide, you all would have seen it. It's a reminder about the importance of compliance. If you think compliance is expensive, try non-compliance. So when we try to take shortcut, illegal ways to save on ORP calculation, to not pay workers, etc. Now, we are asking for bigger trouble if the law catches up, on us. So follow the rules. If at all you want to save costs, you save costs through other efforts, other initiatives. Now, I can tell you this to HR practitioners. Don't try to avoid stamping just because we want to save the 10 ringgit, etc. Or we don't calculate ORP the way it should be calculated. We exclude certain allowances from ORP calculation. I can tell you, you're not going to save much. We are throwing down the drain. If you're a huge company, millions of ringgit annually, we are throwing it into the drain because of our practices. Don't worry about stamping. Don't worry about ORP calculation. But what can you do? Productivity, discipline, morale, abuse of MCs. The amount of money that we are throwing down the drain in this aspect and a few others is much, much, much more. So follow compliance, follow what the law says, find other ways to reduce your manpower costs if you need to, or how to increase revenue, how to increase profit. Let me give you one example. I've shared this in the previous webinar, but some of you all could be listening for the first time. Now, if there are some companies out there, they do not give MC to new employees. When a new employee joins, they do not give MC. In other words, right? In other words, not MC, sorry, I'm so sorry. They don't provide annual leave in the first, during probation, or maybe first 6 months. Because are they wrong? They're not wrong. The law says what? An employee shall be entitled to annual leave after completing 12 months. So Peninsular Malaysia, Sabah, Sarawak is the same. So what the company do? So I don't give you annual leave during probation. So what happens? When you don't give annual leave, the employee takes MC. When they take MC, you're going to pay for the cost of MC, right? When they go to clinic, the doctor is going to check on them and give them medication, etc. That is about 60, 70 ringgit or so, plus minus, maybe more, maybe less. Then you got to pay them for the day. So there's two costs involved. But if you give them annual leave, you only have single cost, which is annual leave cost. You don't have the cost of, the clinical cost or the cost of treatment. So when we don't give when we don't give annual leave, two costs. When you give annual leave, single cost. And not only that, when we don't give annual leave, what happens? The employee will, let's say if they were to abuse your MC, 3 months, they take 3 days MC. You got to pay for the cost of medication, cost of treatment, plus the cost of sick leave. And after 3 months, if they decide, you know what, I want to go and apply for another job, I'm leaving this company. What does Employment Act, what does Sarawak Labour Ordinance, Sabah Labour Ordinance say? You got to pay them back the prorated annual leave that you have not given to them yet. So you pay again. Now, if you were to calculate how much of money you're wasting by this very old mindset, old practice of not giving annual leave during probation, especially if you hire a lot of people, that alone could be tens of thousands of ringgit, if not more. So what are we saving? We're not saving, we are wasting. So if you want to save money, give annual leave from day one. And some company, what they do, they give annual leave 8 days. 8 days is not enough. When you give 8 days, they'll take extra days from MC. So to me, in order to be productive, in order to be efficient, attractive, in order to save costs, please give at least 1 day annual leave per month. So 12 months, 12 days. You will see a drop in your labor costs with regards to MC. Don't believe me? Do your calculation. So these are ways how you avoid costs, and there are so many others. I'll probably share a few later. So there are so many ways to, avoid costs, minimize costs, but don't touch ORP calculation, right? And I just want to cover this, which is an important, aspect as well. There are, how do employment law come into existence? So one is through Employment Act. It goes to Parliament. Parliament approves it, right? Employment Act Trade Unions Act, Industrial Relations Act. That's Act of Parliament. Then, let me go to the third bubble, regulations. The minister can create regulations. For example, what is the maximum OT? Where can you find 104? You will not find it in Employment Act per se, but you will find it in the regulation which is called Limitation of Overtime Regulations, which is an extended part from Employment Act, or even the Sarawak Labour Ordinance or Sabah Labour Ordinance. Or, termination layoff. If you were to terminate somebody, the 10 days, the 15 days, the 20 days per year of service, where do you get that from? You get it from the Termination and Layoff Regulation, Benefits Regulation 1980. So that's the second part. Now, then, when a case goes to the court, whether it's industrial court, a labor court, high court, appeal court, or federal court in the past. So when the case goes to the court, when the court makes a ruling, that becomes a case law. So for example, in a hotel industry, if you're in the hotel industry, you give employees service points, right? There's a cash that comes with it. Can this service point be part of basic salary? Answer is no. In the case of Crystal Crown, right? Federal court says what? The service point that you pay them, right, that you convert into cash, that cannot be part of basic salary. So it is not in the Employment Act per se. Today you browse, you can't find it. You can't find under any regulations. That comes from case law, right? So that is why it is very important for you to not just refer to Employment Act. It is also not just to refer to the regulations, but you must also look into case laws, right? And it's very important. But what we do, we are very busy, we work on so many other things, but we forgot to learn up. So to me, that is not an excuse. So first step that I would encourage all of you all to do is, each and every one of you all, please go and get this book, right? This is a book that you can buy from a popular bookshop. You can buy it online as well, where Employment Act is covered here, the latest. All the regulations are covered here, right? This is for Peninsular Malaysia. Sabah and Sarawak, you have your act plus the rules. So please, everybody must have this. So for those of you listening today, if you don't have one, go to Popular and get one. Everything is compiled there. All the regulations are here. So you don't have to go and, find here, find there, where to get, etc. So get this book. It is only about 20 plus or 30 plus ringgit, right? Of course, for those of you all, if you're coming to our master class, you'll get a copy of this. Or if you're coming to the Sarawak class, we'll give you the Sarawak edition. Okay, so you got to know this. Please please read on case laws. Recently, there was another case, I just can't recall what was it about. Also something to do with wages. How do you define these wages, right? Now, let me share an example with you why you must know what case law is. Do you include bonus into ORP? Right? Some of you may say, no, bonus is not. Now, to me, to say this word, to make this statement, bonus is not ORP, it cannot be, should not include. Answer is not true. That is a blanket statement. If it's a contractual bonus, you don't include into ORP. But if you're giving a performance-based bonus, and this performance-based bonus is not the same for everybody. You may give employee A different amount, employee B different amount, and you tie that to their performance, right? That bonus may have to be included into ORP. So remember this, if you look at Employment Act, Section 2, definition of wages, I'll cover that later. It says that wages are, wages is everything except bonus. So what we do, we don't include bonus for those people that you need to calculate OT. But the case law says that, there's a case that went to the, if I don't remember, it's High Court. What the case says, if the bonus is tied to their performance and is different for different employees, then it can be deemed that this is payment for work done. In other words, this bonus, which is a so-called performance-based bonus, where everybody gets a different amount, has got to be calculated into the ORP. So probably something new to many of you. All this while you're not including it in. So now that you know, please go and check it out. I would encourage you to, go to the nearest labor department, get clarification. Is it true that performance-based bonus tied to individual performance has got to be included in ORP, right? So please write that down. Please go and find out, right? If you go to the forum, we have shared which particular case says so. Go and look at it. Okay, so that is why it's important for all of you all to also read case laws. And every time there's interesting case law, we'll share it in the forum. So that is why you got to spend some time reading case laws. Now, let me go into minimum wage. So what is minimum wage? Minimum wage, today we all know is 1,007. So every employee in Malaysia who's an employee with a contract service, you got to pay them nothing less than 1,007. That's minimum wage. You can pay extra. You can give extra allowance and whatnot, but the minimum salary or the basic salary, gaji pokok, has got to be minimum 17. You cannot include allowances, incentives, other payments. In a hotel, service points cannot. Right? Remember, in the case of Crystal Crown, Federal Court says that service points, the payment for service points, you cannot include as wages, right? Basic salary, sorry. So basic salary is purely gaji pokok. And who says so? Can you find this in Employment Act? No. You will get this from the National Wages Consultative Council. They produce the minimum wage order. It comes from there. So remember, minimum wage means 1,007 at this moment, gaji pokok. And every time the government announces the minimum wage order, they'll always say that, okay, if the company's activity listed under MESCO and you're less than 5 employees, you can delay. So what are the listing in MESCO? You can see there are 10 groups here. So typically what happened last year, 2024, if your company is more than 5 employees, you got to start 1st February. I think you all remember the dates. If your company is less than 4 and you're not listed in MESCO, you can start 1st August, right? So the MESCO is this. So later part, when you have a copy of this slide, you can see the link at the bottom. You can click further and explore further what is MESCO. By the way, these slides I'll be sharing later in the forum. You can download it from the forum. And later part of the presentation today, I'm going to give you a few breakthrough strategies that you all have never ever heard before. If you would have heard it, that means you would have joined our masterclass or probably the previous webinar. But if you have not, you're going to hear it for the first time, something that nobody has ever told you, something that is going to improve your performance, productivity, discipline, finance. So if you want to know more, please wait till the end. Minimum wage order started 1st February 2025. What it says here, the order was issued last year. Remember, order was issued last year, but effective this year. Effective 1st Feb last year. So 1,007, you all are familiar with. If it's a daily wages, if you're paying them on daily, if it's a 6 days work, every day is 65.38. If the employee's work is 4 days, every day you got to pay them 98.08. Or you may be employing you may be employing people based on hourly. Then the hourly rate cannot be less than 8.72. Right? How we derive this 65.38, you can see the formula at the bottom. Now, the minimum wage order also says this. You can pay employee on monthly, daily, hourly. You can pay them on piece rated, tonnage, task, trip, commission. For example, when you see the cement, the big cylinder cement truck, some of them are paid on trip base. You perform one trip and come back, I pay you 100 ringgit, for example, or 50 ringgit. So in a month, if you're paying 100 ringgit, he or that employee must be able to drive the vehicle, the lorry, at least 10 times to earn the 1,007 in a month, right? That's minimum wage. Or you may employ an employee you may tell the employee, okay, your job is to produce this particular device. Every device you produce, I give you $1. So during his normal hours of work, if he's working Monday to Friday, etc., he must have the opportunity to produce 1,700 pieces. So if he's able to produce 1,700 pieces during work hours, he gets 1,700 times 1 ringgit, 1,007 ringgit. That's minimum wage, right? So, and also just to let you know, if you don't know, those employees who are on daily salary, the general mindset, if you don't come to work, I don't pay you. But just to let you know, those employees on daily salary, they are also entitled to annual leave, sick leave, public holiday, maternity leave, paternity leave. So let's say if you hired me to work and you tell me, okay, Arul, your job is to do this, you must come to work 5 days a week. Your work days are Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So today is Tuesday. And today I happen to, I'm feeling unwell. I got an MC from clinic. Even though I don't come to work today, I'm a daily salary employee, I am still entitled to MC or sick leave. you still got to pay me my wages for today. So remember this, the mechanism of calculation is different. Most of you all are paid on monthly, some people are paid daily, some are hourly, but the mechanism of calculation, cara kiraan gaji berlainan. But they are all entitled to sick leave, public holiday, annual leave, MC, maternity, paternity, right? So please go and learn this up. And what happens when the new minimum wage come? So what many of you all would do, if you're below 1,007, this was last year, below 1,007, we move them to 1,007, everybody. But when you do that, then and what happens, new employee, let's say finish SPM, they start work, you pay 1,007. But those older employees working for 1, 2, 3 years, you move them to 1,007. So what happens is, the new employee 1,007, some of the older employee also 1,007. So this is what we call as compression. They are compressed in that zone. So which may be unfair to the older employees. So I'm sure what many of you all do, okay, the older ones, we move them 1,007, then because minimum wage is 1,007. New employee also 1,007. So what you do, you move the older employees by maybe extra 200, extra 150. You give them some kind of structural adjustment, which is good. But again, is that the best practice? Is that a reasonable practice? My advice to you all, there are 4 methods. You can, check this out later. I did put all the slides in. Some of you all may give fixed quantum. Okay, everybody plus 200 if you're older employees, so that you're away from 1,007. Or some of you all may give percentage based on certain criteria, etc., or based on performance. What I would do, if you're an A and B, I will give you increment, a structural increment, or maybe a merit increment. But if you're C and D, why should I adjust? You're C and D what? Output also C and D what? So you can also do that. You can increase based on performance. If the D say, you know what, since you're not paying me, I want to go, please go. No problem. The C goes, okay lah, for a while, he go. But the A and B, you got to retain them. Now, let me go to the first schedule. Why I need to cover this? Because this will affect the explanation on overtime. So what happens prior to the amendment that took place in 2022, it went live in 2023, only those employees below 2,000 and those who are manual workers are covered under Employment Act. But what happened in the amendment? Everybody, any person who has entered into a contract of service, the operator is an employee now, HR managers are employee, company CEO is also employee. So for example, Maybank CEO, he's got a contract, he's an employee covered under Employment Act. Or a quality director, sales director, vice president, all of these guys are also included, they're also covered under Employment Act. However, certain group of employees do not enjoy, or they are not entitled to the box in the right. So who are they? So to be able to explain this in an easier format, look at this slide. So let me explain further. Let me explain, but please listen. Some of you all may already know this. Just bear with me for a while. So there's 2 categories of employees here. The first category is employees who are doing manual labor, operators, some of your technicians, the cleaners, the guards, lorry drivers, etc. Those who operate vehicles, mechanical vehicles, or those who are supervising your operator. It doesn't matter who. It can be again, Employment Act, they don't follow pangkat, title, director, no. What you do. So if that particular person is supervising a manual labor, or he oversees the manual labor, he is also in this category. So for this category, on the left-hand side, manual labor, those who maintain operating mechanically propelled vehicle, or they are supervising, jaga, another manual labor. This group of employees, tak kisah gaji dia berapa, less than 4,000, more than 4,000, they are entitled to everything. Overtime pay, rest day pay. If they work on public holiday, they got to be paid, the times 2, times 3. If you terminate them, they got to be paid. So this group clear cut. A lorry driver, 10,000 ringgit, you got to pay him overtime if he's driving lorry the whole day. Now, the other category, the other employees, who are they? Those people who are not manual labor, they are under other category. Those who are not supervising, under other category. So who are they? HR clerk, HR manager, finance manager, sales engineer, R&D engineer, quality director, vice president, CEO, director of engineering, right? A designer, a chef. So all these people are under other employees. So those who are under other employees, if your salary is up to 4, if their wages up to 4, they enjoy OT, rest day pay, and all those things. But if they're earning above 4, they do not enjoy overtime pay. They're not entitled. That provision do not apply to them. Rest day pay, if they work on public holiday. So this group, they do not enjoy those 6 items. What are the 6 items? I have mentioned down there again. You can see rest day pay, public holiday, all this not applicable. Sabah, Sarawak, you're almost similar except there's one additional item. But otherwise, you're also on the same boat. So now, I want to just quickly ask you, and please answer me. You just tell me whether red box or green box. HR manager earning 3,008. Green box or red box? So my colleagues here will let me know what you answer. HR manager earning 3,008. Anyone? Green box or red box? Green box. You're right. Okay, HR manager. See, those who say red box, you are wrong. Because you're following title. Oh, manager no OT. EA do not follow, or Sarawak Labour Ordinance, Sabah Labour Ordinance, they don't follow, your title. You can give whatever title, but they follow what they do. So HR manager earning 3,008, he is in the green box. So if that HR manager works on a public holiday, you got to pay him public holiday pay. If you terminate him, you got to give him termination benefits. But, okay, so that's one. What about a HR clerk earning 6,000 ringgit? Clerk earning 6,000, red or green box? HR clerk earning 6,000 ringgit. Come on, be fast, be fast. Red. Okay, whoever said red, you are right. Why red? Because they fall under other categories. They are not manual labor, so other categories or other employees, and they're earning above 4, therefore red box. So this particular HR clerk, if you ask him or her to come and work during Thaipusam, which is coming very soon, you can tell the person, okay, you come and work during Thaipusam, but can I give you annual leave? I give you replacement leave. No problem. But anybody in the green box, if they work on a public holiday, you got to pay them public holiday rate of pay. If you terminate those people in the green box, you got to pay termination benefit. But those people in the red box, you can tell them, sorry, no termination benefit. I just pay you a final salary, your notice period, annual leave yang belum pakai, I pay you. No problem. Because why? Those in the red box, they are not entitled for termination benefit. So it is very important to understand this first schedule. Sabah, Sarawak, almost similar, except that I think Sarawak, Sabah, there's one additional item. But otherwise, the main context is all here. And definition of wages. So this part is a little bit tricky. Just follow me. I hope I can explain it in a way that you can understand, but it's not easy to explain. Now, how do I determine? So let me go back to the previous slide. So here we said above 4, below 4. How do we determine the 4,000? How do we determine that? So in order to determine the 4,000, we go to the first schedule, which is at the, whether Sabah, Sarawak or Peninsula. What it says, to determine the 4,000, you follow the definition of wages in section 2, which is on the right-hand side, left-hand side, but don't include commission, don't include subsistence allowance, don't include overtime pay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to combine these two and give you a table, right? So don't get confused. In order to determine the 4,000 first, we haven't count OT yet. How to calculate OT, that's a different story. Right now, we are only going to determine whether the person is above 4 or below 4 to determine whether they are entitled to OT. So you look at first schedule, but you don't include, follow the definition of wages in second schedule, but don't include overtime pay and so on. So to make it easy, I've combined this, and this is what you get. So in order to determine the 4,000 ringgit, you only take the first part, which is basic wages and all other payments in cash. Don't include the value of house. Don't include traveling allowance. Don't include commission. Remember just now, commission, subsistence allowance, overtime, all these don't include. What is subsistence allowance? So usually this is given in the before the first pay for them to buy their clothes, food, etc. Right? So, or if let's say they incur some additional costs because of their expenses, and you don't want to, you reimburse them. So you don't include all this. So otherwise, the first part, basic wages and all other payments in cash must be included. So it's a small exercise. 4 examples. Example number 1, the basic salary of this particular employee is 4,000. Allowances you should include, but he don't have. Commission cannot be included, it's excluded. Overtime excluded. Total 4,000, he is entitled to overtime. Example number 2, basic salary 2,500, allowances 1,200. Commission don't have, but OT, this person got about 1,000 ringgit. You also don't include to determine the 4,000 first. Illustration number 3, basic salary 3,800, allowances 1,500, commission 200, we don't include. Total 3,950, OT is eligible. For example number 4, basic 3,800, allowances 300, total 4,100. It's above 4,000. For this employee number 4, employee in example 4, do not enjoy OT. Now, this table is for those other employees. Because if they're manual labor, tak payah kira ni semua. Manual labor, those who supervise, doesn't matter what salary. If above 4, below 4, OT must be paid. This is for the other category, other employees, like HR people. If anybody here, if you are in HR, your total basic salary allowances is below 4, you are in the green box. If your basic salary allowances is more than 4,000, you are in the red box, right? So these are for other employees. Manual labor, tak kisah berapa you dapat, OT is eligible. And also remember this, Employment Act has its own definition of wages. EPF, they have their own definition. So Employment Act cannot speak on behalf of EPF. EPF cannot speak on behalf of Employment Act. But of course, when you see lebih kurang sama, traveling allowance, both don't have, right? Overtime payment, EPF no. Retrenchment benefit, EPF no. So there are most of the areas are quite similar, but there are some different. So in order to explain, you must go to the respective act. You must go to EPF Act. What kind of allowances got to be paid? EPF. What kind of allowances don't need to pay EPF, right? So EA got different definition. EPF got different definition. So if you walk to the Labour Department and you ask Labour Department about EPF, they probably tell you, no, you got to go and check with EPF because EA is under Labour Department. EPF under EPF, right? Similarly, SOCSO has got its own definition, right? So every act has their own definition, not following what Employment Act says. You will see some similarity, but there could be some differences as well. So my advice to all of you all, you got to be familiarized, you got to familiarize with different acts. So otherwise, susah nak kata kita HR lah. EA, yes, wages is defined like this. EPF, there be certain things that may not be the same. EIS and Perkeso. HRDF also got its own definition, right? So please make an effort to at least read all this for one time so that you know that at least understand first that different acts, they may have different definition. Now, let's go back to EA. So, and also Sabah Sarawak. So what does EA says? Basics, wages means, apakah itu gaji? Gaji, there's two components. Basic wages, gaji pokok, and payments in cash for work done. All other payments. So in other words, so listen to this very carefully. What is wages? What should you calculate into ORP when somebody works overtime? What should you calculate? What it says, wages means what? Basic salary and all other payments in cash. Whatever you pay them in cash. But it does not include A, if you provide accommodation, or you're paying to you're paying to EPF, Or if they travel, you pay traveling allowance, not included. Or if the employee, because of their work, they incur, there's something they got to pay to perform the job. They come back to office, they say, boss, I have to pay something. Can you pay me back? That is not income. That money you pay him is a reimbursement. So that is not gratuity. Let's say if they retire, you pay some money. That is not. Or annual bonus. But annual bonus is a tricky one. Huh? So what Section 2 says is this, or what Sarawak, Sabah is same, almost similar, or shall I say same? Everything you pay employee has got to be in ORP, except A, B, C, D, E, F. So if you pay meal allowance, now meal allowance is not A, not B, not C, not D, not E, not F. So how this section is written, semua termasuk dalam gaji kecuali A, B, C, D, E, F. So whatever that you pay, if it's not in the exclusion, tak ada dalam pengecualian. Not in A, not B, not C, not D, not E, not F, it is wages. So now so what you like to ask is, KPI allowance. Answer is very simple. If KPI allowance is in A, B, C, D, E, F, it is not included. So you must learn how the law is interpreted. The way the law is done up here, it says that everything is wages. Semua you bayar adalah gaji, kecuali A, B, C, D, E, F. So if you ask me attendance allowance, tak ada pengecualian, it's wages. Meal allowance, it is not the exclusion, it is wages. Shift allowance, it is not in the exclusion, tidak dikecualikan, wages. So everything is wages, kecuali A, B, C, D, E, F. I hope you all got this right. Now, so what about performance bonus? I've already mentioned just now. If it's an annual bonus, everybody gets the same rate, whether you pay them one time or you pay them every quarter, that is not part of wages. But if you are giving them performance base, that means if you're an A performer, your bonus is 2 months. If you're a C performer, your bonus is half month. That bonus may have to be included. You may need to include into ORP, into wages. So I would encourage you all to go and study this further, get clarification from the relevant authorities so that you are on the right direction. So I've given you the tip, please take the next step. Now, so if you look at it again, right, it says that traveling allowance is not included. That means kalau you bayar traveling allowance, bukan gaji. But what if you give transport allowance? Is it the same? Some of you all, we use the words, with the label, kita rojakkan, right? We just mix up the whole thing. Transport allowance is wages. You got to include in ORP. But traveling allowance, it is not wages. So usually for transport allowance, you give them a fixed sum. Okay, every month I give you 200 ringgit. That is wages. That money goes into the pocket. But if let's say the employee travel, he come back, he claim, say, boss, you asked me to go to Johor, I went to Johor, so my toll, petrol, all this, 150 ringgit, please pay me back. So you pay him back. That is reimbursement. So traveling allowance is not wages. EPF, EPF, EA, etc. excluded. Even income tax exclude, but there is a limit. But transport allowance is wages. So if you are using these labels wrongly, please get it rectified, right? Please study this further and take note of it. ORP, how do you calculate ORP, right? So if Sabah, Sarawak, semua sama, so you take the monthly rate of pay. What is the monthly rate of pay? What is it? You go back to section 2. So to determine ORP, you take the monthly rate of pay, you divide 26. So what is monthly rate of pay? It's wages in section 2. Same goes to Sabah, same goes to Sarawak. So in order for you to determine your hourly rate of pay, so that when you calculate OT, you times 1.5 times 2.0 and so on, monthly rate of pay, divide 26, and if they're working 8 hours per day, you divide 8. If they're working 7.5 hours a day, you divide 7.5. If they're working 9 hours a day, it is more than 8, you divide 8. Right? That is hourly rate of pay. And it's the same for EA, Sabah, and Sarawak. Now, Another thing that you all some of you all may know, but probably if you have never heard this, now when we say wages, right? When somebody works on a rest day, on a public holiday, or if you're giving some kind of incentive plan, and the incentive plan has been approved by the Labour Director General, or in Sarawak, the Director, Labour. If it's approved, it is not part of wages, right? And when somebody works on a rest day, public holiday, let's say, for example, you give an employee shift allowance on rest day, on public holiday, you can choose not to include into your ORP calculation. Why? Because that one is excluded from the, for calculation of ORP. So I'm leaving this table with you. Please go and study it, right? So something that you may not know, study it further. But my advice, I'm sure most of you all, you just cover everything in. That is a good practice. You're giving more to employees and makes your calculation easier, makes your life easier. But if at all you want to follow this, please ensure your payroll system can do this automatically for you. Okay, now this is a little bit old. We should already know by now, but I'm just covering it since we're talking about wages. We all know the definition of ORP wages, right? In order to calculate ORP, we take the wages, divide 26 times 8. Now, previously, we worked 8 hours per day, 6 days a week, 48. With the new changes, we only work 45 hours per week. So should we divide 8 or should we divide 7.5? So if you are working, if the employees are working 8 hours per day, you divide 8. 7.5 hours per day, divide 7.5. But some of you all, you may be working 9 hours per day, the total work hours. Lunch is excluded. Work hours alone, 9 hours. Should you divide 9? Answer is no, you divide 8. That's the max you can divide. And this is the, the formulas, put it that way. So we have extracted from EA. This was done by Haji Hussein and myself. So what we have done, extracted all the, formula, with monthly pay, the first 4 hours, what do you pay, etc. Sabah, Sarawak, everything same, similar, no change, no difference between Peninsular, SLO, and so on. So, you'll have a copy of this when you download the slides. So how do you read it? For example, those people who are paid monthly, if they work extra hours after the normal hours, so they do OT, you times 1.5 of their hourly rate of pay. The 1 hour pay, you divide you times 1.5. Now, if those people who are on monthly salary, like all of y'all, so remember those people in the green box, remember? If you ask those people in the green box to come back on their rest day, even for 1 hour, you got to pay half of the ORP. And if they work more than their OT hours, you got to pay times 2. Those people on monthly, look at the last top right, monthly rate of pay, public holiday. If you ask them to come on a public holiday, mereka yang dibayar gaji bulanan, even though they come only for 1 hour, you say, come 1 hour, help for a while, go back. You have to pay them 2 times their ORP, not 2 hour pay, 2 times ORP. So you may say, why, it's unfair. The law says you already asked them to come to work. He sacrificed all day, come to work. You got to pay him 2 times ORP. Now, remember I was saying just now, piece rated. If you pay me per piece, I don't have a basic salary. You're paying me per piece. So every hour I work, every piece I produce, you pay me $1. During normal hours of work, I produce 1,007, you got to pay me 1,007. So now, if I produce this device during normal hours, 1 ringgit. But if I produce this during OT, you got to pay me 1.5 times 1 ringgit. If I produce this during my overtime hours, so for piece rated. So take note of it. And why is it off day? Some people like to ask this. Why rest day, it's 1.0? If you look at the rest day, right? The first 8 hours, 1.0. When you do OT after that, it's 2.0. Why off day, I must pay 1.5? Why off day more than rest day? What is the reason? Can anyone answer me? Why is off day? Okay, I've got this book to be given away. Right? I've got this book to be given away. The first answer, Yon will be watching. Who's the first one to answer? Why I give you this book? You give Yon your phone number, your address. She will send you this book, Good to Great. It's a good book for every HR practitioner to read. You can modify, you can improve your HR practices. So now this book is available to whoever answer first. Why is off day 1.5 and not 1.0? The first 8 hours. Anyone? Be the first correct answer, you get this. Why off day, the first 8 hours, it is 1.5 and not 1.0? Anyone? Okay, who was that? Okay, Trista, you got this book. So Yun will be in touch with you. Give her your house address or your office address. We will courier this book to you. Okay, now, so thank you for the answer. Let me just reaffirm, refine the answer. In Employment Act, in Sabah Labour Ordinance, Sarawak Labour Ordinance, it's, work is defined over 6 days. So Monday to, for example, if your week is Monday to Sunday, so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday is normal working day. Sunday is a rest day. But what some companies do, in fact, many are doing it, they only ask employees to work 5 days. So on the day number 6, let's say with Saturday, day number 6, tak payah datang kerja, you rehat dekat rumah. That is considered off day. But it is still part of a working day. So that's why the formula is 1.5. Rest day is summer, 1.0 and 2.0 for the overtime hours. Right? So remember this, EA, SLO, and so on, it is on a 6 days work week. So if you ask them to come on Saturday, you got to pay them 1.5. So I hope this clarifies why rest day it is why off day is 1.5. Now you may ask me this, can you show me in the Act, EA or SLO, where does it say off day is 1.5? Now you must remember, the word off day, you will not find the Act because the Act is designed for 6 days work. So since you're giving them, off day, right? So, since you're not asking them to come to work, that is called as off day, not rest day. But you will not find that in the Act. So it is still 1.5. And what is the maximum overtime? I'm sure you all are very familiar. Summer, Sabah, Sarawak, Malaysia, all same. You all know why I keep saying Sabah, Sarawak. Peninsular Malaysia and Labuan, we follow Employment Act 1955. Sabah, they have the Sabah Labour Ordinance or Labour Ordinance Sabah, and Sarawak has their Labour Ordinance of Sarawak, right? Different law, etc. But I would say with the new amendment that has taken place, the difference between all these three is much more lesser than what it was in the past. So the maximum hours is 104. Why 104? There are 26 normal days. Remember the wages divide 26? So 26 normal days times 4 hours per day is 104. So can you exceed 104? Can a company ask employee to work more than 104? The maximum limit is 104. You can, but you got to apply for approval using Borang E to exceed 104. So this for Peninsula. Sabah, Sarawak, you have also a different form for it. And who is entitled to OT? So we talk about OT, right? So the red box, remember the same red box? The red box are not entitled. Those in the green box, if they work OT, they got to be paid OT. So most of you all, I believe you are in HR. If you're earning below 4, if you go back late, your boss got to pay you OT. Those of you all in the red box, if you work extra hours, thank you so much for your service. Right? So those in the red box, company may not pay you OT. They may give you some time off, they may give you some meal voucher, whatever, etc. Right? That one you can negotiate. But those people in the green box, you cannot replace OT with OT payment with leave. You got to pay them. Why? Because the law says those who work must be paid. The law did not say you boleh bayar atau gaji beri cuti tambahan. Cannot. You got to pay them. And hours of work, previously 48, now it's 45. I think all of you all know, so I will not touch on that. And Section 18A, if an employee, for example, in January, they masuk kerja today. That means they didn't work the full month, or they resigned today. So the month is not complete. Or if they took unpaid leave. So the changes also gives this formula. So how to calculate the incomplete month's salary? So you take the monthly salary, you divide number of days. For example, if you're following calendar January, there's 31 days. So let's say gaji 1,700, you divide 31 times by how many days they work. Right? If they don't come to work one day, let's say for example, the employee, he has been here for since last year. So in January, for example, he took 4 days unpaid leave. So what do? 1,007 divide 31 times 27 days. Why 27 days? Because 4 days unpaid leave, right? So this formula is given Sabah, Sarawak, Peninsula, all the same. And now, when do we divide calendar? Or when do we divide 31 or 30? Why, when do we divide 26? So ORP clear cut 26. Why annual leave divide 26? Anyone? Why annual leave divide 26? The first answer gets the book. The first answer, quick. If you're the first, you get this book. Why annual leave, when you want to pay back annual leave, why divide 26? The first answer, Yun? 5, 4, 3, 2. Okay, got it. So whoever said 4 RD, that means 4 rest days, please give your address to Yun. We'll courier this book to you. Now, why? Because you don't apply annually during a rest day. There are 4 Sundays, 4 rest day. You apply annually for normal days. That's why divide 26, right? So for incomplete month, unpaid leave, etc., you calculate, divide calendar. If January, you divide 31. Or if you're using a wage period, 26 to 25th, you calculate the number of days. Usually it's 30, 31. If it's other month, in February, could be less than 31, 30. So this explains why or when you divide 31 or 30 or calendar, when you divide 26. So we all know that the wages component got to be paid. For January wages, you must pay by 7th Feb. February wages, you must pay by 7th of March. But the rest day pay, the public holiday pay, the overtime pay, if you don't want to pay by the 7th, no problem. But you must pay before the next wage period expire. So for example, in this table, right, let's say if it's August wages, you got to pay by 7th September. If, the rest day pay in August, the public holiday pay in August, the overtime pay for August, right, you must pay. If you don't want to pay by the 7th of September, no problem. You must pay by 30th of September. Before October start, you must pay. So this is provided for in Sabah, Sarawak, as well as EA. So you must pay no later than the last day of the next wage period. So August is one wage period. The next wage period, September, right? You must pay the last day of September for rest day pay, public holiday pay, overtime. I'm sure most of you all, you pay it together, which is fantastic, easy. Workers are happy, they can get money faster, etc. But some of you all could be paying before the next wage period ends. You are not wrong, because the law provides for it. And this could be something probably new to many of you all, or you may know it already. Same goes to Sabah, Sarawak, and Peninsula. But Sabah, Sarawak, there's slight difference, but generally it's the same. So what it says, if the contract ends, that means the contract finish, tamat, or if you hire them on a work, certain work, tamat, the employee resign, give a notice period. He said, okay, boss, I want to resign. I give you 1 month notice. So today's 18, right? 18 January, my last day. I give you 1 month notice. So December, he resigned until today. So today is last day, right? Section 20 says that you must pay the employee today, not on 7. So similarly, employee did not behave well. Company terminated the employee. We terminated him. If you do that, if you terminate, etc., because of misconduct, you must also pay the salary on the same day the contract terminated, not on the 7th. So please go and read up Section 20, Section 21. Same goes to Sarawak and Sabah, same concept, except that in Sarawak or Sabah, I can't recall which one, for the last part, they give 3 days, but 3 days or 5 days. But here, it is for Peninsula. So please go and read it up. And advance. Can we give an employee advance? Employee said, I want advance. You can give advance. But if you just advance for, I just want my pay extra. I want my pay. I want advance. You can give, but you cannot give more than what he earned last month. But if the employee is asking for advance to buy a house, to buy a car, to buy a computer, or if there's his family member is having, not well, he wants to pay for medical treatment for him or for the employee, right? Or he wants to pay for educational, he wants to pay for his diploma or degree, and he wants advance more than 1 month. For these purposes, you can. But he just wants to pay extra. I mean, he wants an advance pay for, not for ABCD and so on. Don't give. Why? Because the law says maximum advance is not more than 1 month or not more than what he earned the previous month. But if he's going to buy a house, car, motorbike, etc., you can give more than 1 month. So take note of it. And can you deduct? How much can you deduct? Of course, if the person took advance, you can deduct. But the deduction should not be more than 50% of what the employee earns in a month. Right? So if let's say now employee says, boss, I want advance. So he said, okay, berapa you nak advance? 1 bulan gaji. Okay, you give it to him. So now, can you deduct the entire 1 month the following month? You can't. The maximum is 50%, then another month 50%, no problem. But if the employee resign and don't give notice period, no limit for that. If he suppose give 1 month, you can deduct the entire 1 month, right? Or deduction for housing loan. So these are provided for. And very common people ask, my employee didn't collect commission, rosakkan harta benda, took some money from the cash register, I want to deduct his salary. Those deductions, you can't see it. So what is allowed? So the green box you can see is allowed. Now all these are from Employment Act. Sabah Sarawak, if I'm not mistaken, is almost similar. Now if the employee, you overpaid employee, tersalah bayar gaji, terlebih bayar, right? Supposed to pay 2,008, you paid 3,000 ringgit. So 200 extra. You can deduct that, but only for the last 3 months. Or he last month served notice but didn't give notice. You can deduct the final wages. You can use that for notice period payment. Or if there's any advance payment, he took loan advance, you can deduct that. Or if there's any other law, for example, EPF, income tax, right? It says deduct, you got to deduct under any other written law. So the green box allowed. No need to ask employee, no need to ask JTK, no need. But the red box, the yellow box, the employee must request. For example, he want to become a member of union. Of course, union already got a blanket approval. You ask the employee to give you a consent. Once a consent given, yes, you can deduct. Or if it's for a sports club, some of you may have sports club. So those items, employee request, you can deduct because you've already got a blanket approval prior to that. But those items in the red box, it can only be deducted if the employee requests and the labor director, that means the labor department, approves it. Otherwise, you can't deduct. So now, if an employee, rosakkan harta benda, supposed to collect money from the, lost money, company's money, etc., can you deduct? Answer is no. You can't. You got to ask them to pay separately. So this is a very favorite question. You can't. Now, the other common scenario is, employee come late to work, I want to deduct salary. Are you wrong? You're not wrong. If employee don't come to work, right, you're not going to pay him. But the right way to say is, I wouldn't call it deduction. If you have a chance to change this label, please change it to unearned wages. Gaji tidak gaji tak layak, or whatever you call it. Wages that he did not earn. So now, for example, your contract says you come to work 8 hours per day. As per contract, you need to work 8 hours per day. But you came late 1 hour. For some reason, you came late 1 hour, you only work 7 hours. So I pay you 7 hours. So the 1 hour is unearned. Gaji tidak, I don't know what is the word, unearned wages, tidak layak. So 1 hour, I don't need to pay you because you didn't work. 7 hours you work, I pay you 7 hours. So unearned wages will be the better label to say it. Now, the other things that we always hear, oh, my employee came late 10 minutes. I want to deduct 200 ringgit. I want to deduct half day annual leave. Sorry, the law says it must be proportionate. If the employee didn't come to work for 10 minutes, you don't pay the 10 minutes. If you don't come to work for 1 hour, you don't pay for 1 hour. You cannot pay, come late to work 10 minutes, you want to so-called deduct half a day pay. Cannot. It got to be proportionate with the hours or the minutes they didn't work. You cannot deduct more. You want to deduct less, no problem. You cannot deduct more. Got it? And this is for those of you all, if you don't know, there's also part-time employment, full-time employment. That means you can also employ people on part-time basis. So all of you are full-time employees. So there are 3 category employees: full-time, part-time, casual. Full-time are those employees who work more than 70%. So if you work 31 hours, 31.5 hours, on weekly basis, you are full-time. I'm sure all of you all are full-time employees. Part-timers are those who work between 13.5 to 31.5. Then those people who work less than 13.5 hours, they are called casual employees. So those people are not under Employment Act, no OT, nothing, no set. So full-time, part-time. But what we use is we use funny, all kind of labels. Those people who come and work 2-3 hours a week, we say part-time. So the right label is they are casual workers. Full-time and part-time, they fall under Employment Act. Casual workers, they do not fall under Employment Act. So the regulations for part-time, you can see some of the comparison there. You go to the forum, you can see a full table with all the benefits comparison. Annual leave, public holiday, rest day, medical leave, hospitalization leave. You can see the whole entire thing there. So this full-time, part-time. Now, many of you all, let me give you one idea that you all do not know of. We want everybody to come full-time. That's okay. If a company says work is full-time, full-time. But do you know how you can leverage your part-time? So for those employees who are going to retire, sometimes employees are going to retire, no offense to those people who are retiring, but I'm just giving you what is reality out there. Sometimes you don't need 100% of an employee who's going to retire. The employee is 58, 59, maybe you don't need this person 100%. And that person also, kalau boleh lah, I tak nak kerja full-time because anak sudah besar, rumah sudah bayar, if I can, I just want to come and work for a few hours. You can actually extend the part-time employment to them. You come Mondays to Fridays, of course gaji will kurang lah, I cannot be paying you full salary, but you only come half a day. So make it official, publicize it, let people apply. It doesn't mean they apply means you must give, because the final decision is up to company. So you can actually use this for those employees who are retiring. If you don't need them 100%, if they want to apply, maybe they say, I want to come to work, but I don't want to come full-time. So it's a win-win. So you can do that. Employees who recently delivered a child, they want to stay longer at home. They said, if I need to come to work, I'd rather resign. But if they say, you just come to work Mondays to Fridays, just come morning. Or maybe just Monday, Tuesday. You decide, you define the hours. And the rest of you just go back, no need to work. No pay lah. So you can also design like that. Or if you have do you have any employees in your company who has got kidney failure? They need to go to dialysis. And usually dialysis 3 days a week. Let's say Monday, Wednesday, Friday afternoon. Usually they go for dialysis in the afternoon because if they go morning dialysis, it's a bit challenging for them to come back and work in the afternoon, if I'm not mistaken. So you can actually ask them also, do you want to apply for part-time? So you just work Monday to Friday. Finish work, you go to your dialysis. No need to unpaid leave, then annual leave, then MC here, then how here, there, complicate your payroll calculation. So you can use part-time employment, right? Or even those people retire, you want them back to work, but you don't need 100% of them. So please consider, exploring part-time employment. It is not that you must give. Tak semestinya kalau employee apply, you need to give. You can decide, okay, this condition, okay, we give it to you. You apply, we give. But you cannot force them, right? So look at all this. Do explore part-time employment. And let me just touch on public holiday. I'm almost done with my slides. Let me touch on the upcoming Thaipusam holiday and federal territory holiday. So many questions asked. I'm just going to share some of the inputs, some of the questions, and I'm going to answer some. Now, actually, I do not know why people are still confused. Number one, every company, in Peninsular Malaysia, for example, you must give minimum 11 public holiday, right? So now, in the 11 public holiday, there are 5 compulsory public holiday. Hari Malaysia, Merdeka, the King's birthday, the Sultan, if you're in a state with Sultan or the Raja or the Governor, their official birthday is a public holiday, and finally the Labor Day, Hari Pekerja. These 5 days, you must give. Now, the other 6 days, you can choose. So maybe you would have chosen Hari Raya, Chinese New Year, Deepawali, Christmas, Thaipusam, for example. So if Thaipusam is one of the public holiday you observe, or some company, they say we observe all holidays, then Thaipusam is part of it. So if you observe both public holiday, so what happens? The FT day and Thaipusam day both falls on a Sunday. Now for some of y'all, or most of y'all, Sunday is a rest day. So if somebody work on Sunday, see, rest day always kekal. You don't move rest day left, right. Rest day is rest day. If a public holiday falls on a rest day, the next day shall be a replacement public holiday. So if an employee works on public holiday, you got to pay him. Sorry, if the employee works on Sunday, 1st Feb, you got to pay the guy rest day pay times 1 times 2. So Monday becomes the FT replacement day. Now remember this, FT replacement day, you cannot move to any other date. By default, the next working day. It's supposed to be on Sunday, but because Sunday is a rest day, the next working day becomes FT. Not Thaipusam. Thaipusam is later, the following day. So FT is on Sunday, on Monday, sorry. Now you observe Thaipusam, right? So what do? Thaipusam will fall on Tuesday. Can you move Thaipusam to any other day? You can, with agreement by the employee. So you cannot suka-suka, okay, you know what, Thaipusam, we do it on 19 Feb lah, because Chinese New Year, right? You can't. Employee must agree. Of course, you and the employee must agree. So otherwise, by default, Thaipusam will be on 3rd Feb replacement. So FT day, the King's birthday, Governor's birthday, Labor Day, Merdeka, etc., you must do it on the same day. If that day is a rest day, by default, the following day. So can you replace FT on another day? Cannot. Because FT is one of the 5 compulsory day. Sarawak, you guys got 6 compulsory holiday. So that 6 compulsory holiday, which is a Sarawak Independence Day, either you observe on the same day, or if that day is a rest day, you must observe the next working day. Now this is for company. The first row is for company that observe 2 public holidays, both. But what if you observe only 1 public holiday? So let's say, for example, your company observe minimum 11, and Thaipusam is not part of the remaining 6. So you only observe 1 public holiday, which is FT. So since Sunday is a rest day, if they work on rest day, you pay them rest day. So Monday becomes replacement public holiday. Anybody who works on a Monday, if they're in the green box, you have to pay public holiday rate. Those people, red box, you discuss with them, maybe replacement leave, maybe some makan, whatever, right? So this is for FT. So we have shared a sample memo and a few FAQs. Please go and get it downloaded from the forum, and you have a copy. Now, do we need to pay an employee who works on 2nd February? Let's say, of course, if 2nd February replacement, if your company says, okay, you all go and enjoy your holiday, no need to pay lah, because they already paid for the rest day. They already paid for the public holiday. But if they work on the replacement public holiday, so for example, Monday is a replacement public holiday for FT, your company is not going to shut down, you want everybody to work. You got to pay them the public holiday pay for those people in the green box. Same goes to Tuesday. If you want them to work and it's a replacement public holiday, and if they're in the green box, you got to pay them. So answer is simple. Those people in the green box, you have to pay them public holiday, the 2 times ORP and 3 times HRP. You got to pay them. But those people in the red box, you can discuss with your employees, maybe give them annual leave, etc. So remember this, the green box, you cannot give replacement leave. you got to pay them in the green box. If you want to pay and you want to give extra leave, no problem. But payment is a must. Leave is extra. Got it? So if you ask again, oh, if employee work 30%, can we give replacement leave? Answer is no, my friend. So I don't understand why we keep asking every time, got some special public holiday, we keep asking this, can I give replacement leave? You know, do I need to observe? Can I? So I hope you all can really study it and get these things right so that we don't need to ask again. So I repeat again, if both public holiday falls on a rest day and you observe both public holidays, both must be replaced. If you only observe one, in the case of FT, for example, down, you only observe one, right? FT is compulsory. You must observe FT. You know, Federal Territory Day. Yeah? Okay, so now, before I go on to, you know, the breakthrough and Q&A, just want to share you what are the upcoming webinar series. So we had 4 webinars. We have 4 webinars. This is our 3rd webinar. Next week, Monday, 26 January, we'll be touching on the Sarawak and Sabah Labour Ordinance. So those of you all, if you're from Sarawak, Sabah, please do join us next month. And, you know, I've spoken so much. So many of the things that I've shared, you know, what we have discussed and, you know, ideas, breakthrough, I'm going to share. All this will also be covered in our masterclass. So we're doing the masterclass. JB no more. We cancel JB. Why we cancel JB? In the entire Johor state, only 8 people are interested. So we cancel Johor. This is a problem in Johor. Every time we want to do Johor, maybe orang Johor terpelajar lah, so they're not interested. No problem. So we have cancelled Johor, but we are doing it in PJ, Kuching, KK, and Penang. So these are the dates. So what do we cover? 2 days intensive class. Of course, you get the, you know, the EA guidebook, our manual, how to read the law, how to interpret the law, shortcuts, you know, how to do disciplinary cases in half an hour. What are the amendments, templates, policies? How do you avoid costly mistakes? How to save on notice period? How to save on probation period? And many other things. So all these are covered in employment, you know, this masterclass. I'll be doing it. So if you are interested, do sign up. The PJ class is almost being filled up. We still have room for Kuching, KK, and Penang. So if you're interested, just email Sophie. Now, these are also HR certification programs that we have. If you're interested to go deeper into payroll tax, you can consider the certified payroll professional, or you want to go into, you know, training analysis. If you're an L&D, we have got a certified training needs assessor program. So that is, if you're interested, sign up. We also have SHRM. I forgot to put the slides. Paid by Yayasan Peneraju, of course, for Bumiputra professionals. So if you're interested, you know, please write into Sophie. So anything, just write to Sophie, SOPHIE at MalaysiaHRForum.com. Now, I want to just give you some breakthrough ideas so that you have some ideas to take home and implement. Now, this is a slide about what you should do, what you should not do. So there are 4 quadrants. Now, here is, you know, effort, minimum effort, huge effort, minimum impact, huge impact. So anything that you do, effort is little, impact is little. To me, you know, I call it fool's paradise. Don't waste your time. You're wasting your time, right? It's okay, I do for a while, but the benefit is minimum. Don't do it. If you do a lot, you know, you spend a lot of effort and time or money, the impact is minimal. This is what I call as a dead man zone. Do you know what are the items in the red box? Team building. Team building is there. You spend a lot of time, effort, but the results are minimum. What you should be focused on is spend minimum effort, but maximum results. This makes you a champion. And of course, the last but not least, lots of effort, lots of, the results is good, but lots of effort. So this is a gamble. So choose wisely, do it selectively. So my advice to HR practitioners is this: those activities that's taking up your time, but gives little results, should you consider doing it? Should you find ways to simplify it? Should you find ways to minimize it? So this is something, I'm going to leave this to you. You fill up these activities. You see what activities that falls in this area. If can, the yellow box and the red box, stop it. Green box, do more. Blue box, choose wisely. Right? Engagement activities. Right? I'm sure many of you are doing engagement activities. Now, engagement activities, in my view, again, red box. Why? when people are not happy, we start doing engagement activities, we do this activity event, that event, but people are not happy because of other reasons. They're not happy because they're not growing their career. They're not happy because the salary for the last 5 years, same. So work on those areas, not on, okay, people are unhappy, we do a survey, people are unhappy. Okay, you know what? I think we got to do team building. I think we got to do, let's wish people birthday. Let's have a nice cozy corner. Those are not improving. I'm sure many of you would have done it. And after 1 year, 2 years, you become tired. Why? We have done so many activities, but people are still unhappy. So that is not the solution. You got to go and find out what is the root cause. Resolve the root cause. Same goes to engage mental health awareness day, etc. When you do survey, people are having health issues, etc. Then what do? You call a dietitian, teach them how to diet. You call somebody to speak on how to work, how to balance your time. But to me, it's not resolving your mental health issues. Why are people becoming stressed up? Why are people becoming, what is the word after stress? They become, they go into depression. Why? Because you did not hire the right person. Because you only wanted Chinese, because you want Chinese speaking, you only hire Chinese speaking. If he's good, fine. What if they're not so good? Or you want a Malay speaking, or Indian speaking. So you're not hiring people based on actual capability. You design a job for 12 hours, but you expect them to do 10 hours. Then it's a design issue. Or this job is supposed to be done by 2%, but you only hire one and you pressure them. Then it's a JD design issue. You don't train them on Excel so that they can do fast analysis, but you spend money on team building. Beginning of the year, you allocate money for team building first. Fund must come first. Got extra money, okay lah. What training you all want? That's wrong. You don't train them up. So because of all this, people become distressed up because you pressure them. Then what do? You spend the money again, calling in a mental health expert to come and talk on, how to manage your time, right? Let's have a nice corner. Let's give them cafe. Let's let them go back Friday at 4:30, for example. That is not going to resolve it. Until and unless you resolve the root cause. I repeat, what are these root causes? If you have a pen, write this down. You don't have to follow some other companies, they're lost. Don't know what they do, this and that. They have dashboard and apps cannot resolve your mental health issues. If you're using dashboard, some apps, if dashboard apps can resolve, wow, fantastic, man. Life is easy. Got health issue, mental health issues? No worries. Dashboard and app, everything is resolved. It's a waste of time, waste of money, you go nowhere. If your employees are having mental health issues, there could be two reasons or two sources. One is induced by the company. That's your fault. The other one is personal issues. Nothing to do with you. No matter what you do, if the person is having stress and depression, etc., because of personal issues, you can do all things that in the office, nothing's going to work until that is resolved. So what you need to do is things that is within your influence. You want to have zero mental health issues? These are the things that you got to do. Write it down. Number one, don't hire people based on race or religion or gender. Just because, he can speak Mandarin, I want Mandarin speaker. You do that, you're shortchanging yourself. You hire people based on their actual capability. If the job requires them to speak Mandarin, okay, fine. But I can tell you, in most cases, you just want them for convenience sake. But use Mandarin as an excuse. And when I speak to CEOs, I tell this to their face. Oh, I want Mandarin speaker because our clients, come on, in China, people are speaking English lah. Right? All these are just lame excuses. Or must speak Bahasa, whatever, etc. I'm not saying, yes, Bahasa, national language. But you hire people because of their capability, not because of language. As Malaysian, all of us can speak Bahasa, right? So if the job requires, if you are going to hire a help desk to answer calls for Korean companies, of course the person got to speak Korean, no choice. Or if they're going to answer Chinese clients from China, yes. But if no, why you need? Right? So hire people because of their capability, experience, competency. Number one. You all don't do that. Many of you don't do that, right? Number two, design your job description for 8 hours work. If 8 hours, 8 hours work. But you design 12 hours, but your work is 8 hours. So it is a design issue. Manpower planning. If the job requires 2%, 2% lah. But you want to save costs, you hire 1%. Then you pressure them. Please train them. For example, I'm not very good at Excel analysis. If you ask me to do an Excel analysis, I will take probably 2 hours. But I'm sure some of you all, you can do VLOOKUP, you can do pivot table, and all these formulas, you can do in 20 minutes. Train your people up, right? Train up. For example, disciplinary cases. You all take about 2 days, 3 days, 1 week to resolve one case. From a show cause letter to giving the warning letter. I do in half an hour. I'm more competent than you. We'll cover that in masterclass, how to do in half an hour. So if you don't resolve the root cause issues, your people will be stressed out. You can invite expensive consultant. You can introduce an app. You can have dashboard, presentation, etc. Submit your CSR report, but you're still not going to resolve the issue. So find out the root causes. Focus on the root causes. Engagement campaigns, another waste of time activity. Why? Why are people unhappy? Not because you don't give an apple a day, or not because you don't have a coffee machine. But people unhappy, you have a coffee machine, cozy corner, national, team building, event, etc. No point. Why people unhappy? Write this down. You want to solve unhappiness issue, you want to have high engagement, write this down. Number one, and also for mental health issues, if your manager is screwed up, he don't know how to inspire people, he pressure people unnecessary, he's lousy pressure, your people get stressed up. So managerial capability is another big issue. So unhappiness, why you need engagement campaign? If HR, every year, you are reviewing your employee's career progression, and you realize there is one employee, right, she has been in the same job grade for 5 years. You should ask the manager, why this employee 5 years in the same job grade? What's your plan for her? But you all don't do. What you all are doing? Stamping contracts, switching off light. Hey, team building, hey, which hotel is the best hotel in Malaysia? Where got banana boat? Instead of focusing on employees' career progression, you put your effort on team building, for example, right? Every year, download your data after you do your annual review, after you decide who to promote, download your data, analyze who has been the same job grade for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, or more. Because these are the guys, they become withdrawn, they're still in the company. When you do a survey, they will tell you, I'm unhappy. Then you see a survey report, oh, we got people unhappy. Okay, what to do? I think we got to engage, we got to have campaigns. So, why people are unhappy? Salary not growing, career not growing, learning and development opportunity to go for classes, etc., not being done. Screwed up manager, a manager who's not capable, he's a manager, he don't know how to inspire people, right? So this is why people get unhappy. People don't get unhappy because you don't give, marriage leave. People don't get unhappy because you don't give marriage leave. People are unhappy because the basic needs are not met. Maslow says that. So focus on those areas. Otherwise, I have to call you guys clueless, lost, la-la land companies. And so this is a HR training and career roadmap. So these are various stages in HR. What are the competencies you must have? What are the soft skills trainings you must go? Competency training, certification. You may say that, why should I spend money? Right? If you don't spend, you remain where you are. If you don't grow in your career, that's your fault. So Bill Gates says this, if you are born poor, it's not your fault. That's your father's fault. But if you die poor, it's your fault. Why? Because we never make effort. So you got to keep on pushing yourself, upskill yourself. So you'll get this copy when you download the slides later. And this is the breakthrough. I'll just cover this, then we go for Q&A. Now, if you can understand what I'm going to say, you are going to be very successful HR. Your company is going to benefit from whatever you do tremendously. I won't give you all the breakthrough. You want to know the full range of it, come for the masterclass, right? No free lunch always. Now, if you want to change the game in your company, please listen to me very carefully, very closely, attentively. Some of you may have heard this from the previous webinar. Now, I'm going to hire you. Your job is to produce 3,000 pieces of this every month. I pay you 3,000. So what is the arrangement? 3,000 pieces, I pay you 3,000. You produce 3,000, I pay you 3,000. Now, what is the minimum commitment that I must produce every month? Of course, you do more, you get an A. You do less, you get a C. You do even worse, you get a D. What is the minimum commitment I must produce every month? Anyone? Any answers? A, B, C? What is the, sorry, not A, B, C, numbers. What is the minimum units I must produce every month? 3,000. So what is the minimum performance level that an employee must perform every month? Every year? What is the minimum performance level that employee must achieve? In terms of ABC, what is the minimum performance level? Anyone? C? Anybody say C? B. So now I want to ask you, ladies and gentlemen, dear HR brothers and sisters, why are you not putting the C performer into PIP? Because you just told me, minimum is a B. Why are you allowing the C performer to roam around your company and they're still around today? That's your fault. And your beloved CEO's fault. Because as per the contract, minimum is a B. But today, what you have done, you have made C the minimum. That's your fault. That's why you're stressed up. Let me ask all of you all this. Who gives you the most headache in the company? A, B, C, D. Who gives you the most headache? Quick, please give me quick answers so that I can cover Q&A quick. Who gives the most headache? A, B, C, or D? C and D. So C and D gives you headache, but you don't touch the C. You said, okay, C tak apalah, boleh, cukup. But they give you headache. So why are you stressed up? Because you are keeping the C and D. The minimum performance level is a B. This is a big mistake most companies in Malaysia are doing, including all the big brands. C is okay. The minimum, my friends, is a B. My advice to all of y'all, first year C, no problem. You're new. You're learning the job. Okay. Second year C, you're not improving. You must go to PIP because PIP means what? Performance Improvement Plan. So the minimum is a B. If you got a C, you need to improve. So you go to PIP, please. Cannot, you please get out. So who abused MC in the company? A, B, C, or D? Who abused MC? Who takes MC when they're not sick? Generally, are they the A and B or the C and D? C. But you don't put them in the PIP. You're okay with them. So who created the issues in a company? Beloved HR department, together with the bosses. So you know the C and D creates issues, but you still keep the C. Why is team building a waste of time? Because when you do team building, you bring the A, you bring the B, you bring the C, maybe D sudah tak ada lagi lah. You bring the C. The C will go, A will go, B will go. They all have fun, banana boat here, there, karaoke, these, etc. I love you, you love me, etc. Monday come back, MC first. The C performers. After 1-2 days, they are back to square one, do minimum. The A and B working very hard. The C and D, 5 sharp, go back. So, I want to ask all of you all this. Why are you bringing the C performers to team building? A and B you bring, okay, I understand. You want to reward them, etc. Fine. The C for what? So this is where you guys are wasting time, wasting money. You want to change the game? Do this. I'm going to give you a few breakthrough. So remember this A, B, C, D. Minimum is a B, not C. Now, you all agreed just now. I'm going to speed up. Normally, I like to ask questions, hear from you, then I clarify. But since I got not enough time, I'm going to speed up. A and B, you all want to save money or not? Do you all want to have a strategy to save money? Listen to this carefully. Now, you guys are probably the A and B. How many days of MC you take? Probably 3 days, 4 days, 2 days, maybe 5 days plus minus, 3 to 5 days a year. But all the hantu, 10 days, 14 days, etc. So everybody by default is either 3, 4, 5 or more. That means everybody takes. So what you should do is, you can introduce a new policy. Ladies and gentlemen, starting 2026, if your starting 2027, if your performance in the previous year is an A or a A, the first 5 days tak payah MC, you apply in the system. Those B performer, 3 days tak payah MC, apply in the system. C and D, I want MC. A and B, no need. 5 days, 3 days. Because A and B, sometimes you all agree, right? When you're sick, you don't go to clinic. Because you just, maybe body not well, take some Panadol, rest, have some nice hot soup, rest for the day, etc. Next day, you're quite okay. So, but because you want them to go to clinic, get MC, they go lah. Then they collect MC, collect the medicine, they run a pharmacy at home. Why you need the A and B? The A and B don't bluff you. Very few, maybe 1 or 2 A and B. Majority of the A and B performer, they don't want to simply take MC because they want to work hard. They want to make sure the performance level is there. But the C and D, so to me, you want to save money, right? Don't go in ORP, manipulate here there. Maybe convert your policy, change your policy, A and B don't need. So A and B will feel more welcome. You save a lot of money. Don't believe me, go back, download your data, last 12 months data, take out the MC trend or your MC record for the A and B. Let's say you give 5 days, no need go MC. If you're sick, go lah. But if you're not, if you just rest at home, cukup, how much of money you would have saved? Tens of thousands of ringgit. Why make the clinic rich? I rather save this money and I give it back to my employees in terms of extra benefits. That's one. Right? Annual leave. I'm sure some of you all, annual leave you all give, for those people more than 5 years, 20 days, 25 days, etc. Now, when you give annual leave 25 days, the C fellow also enjoy. For the C, right? What you all have created, your invention, must give you all a Nobel Peace Prize. You all have invented a strategy where everybody gets extra leave, medical benefits, this one, bonus, team building. So the C performer, kenapa nak kerja rajin? What for? No need. Relax. Kita pergi team building sama-sama kita enjoy, medical benefit kita enjoy, extra annual leave kita enjoy, annual dinner kita enjoy. Tak payah, kenapa nak kerja rajin? Relax kan? Relax. So, the C performer enjoys everything they give. Why should a C performer enjoy? If you have an opportunity, consider this. Ladies and gentlemen, starting 2027, annual leave now it's not going to be easy to change. If you have a chance to change, new company setup, you can do this. Or if you are planning to increase your annual leave, don't do that just yet. Those people, all employees, 12 days minimum, I'm saying 8 days minimum, too little. Annual leave, 12, 14, 16, you do that, you're not breaking the law, right? You're giving what the law says or slightly more, but you're not breaking the law. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're an A performer, we give you extra 5 days annual leave next year, only for 1 year. If you're a B performer, we give you 3 days. The following year, we will see what next year. If next year also an A, you get another 5 days. That means every year, if you maintain your A, you get extra 5 days. Not 5, not cumulative, just 5 days. Finish, next year, another 5 days. B performer, you get 3 days. C and D, I'm so sorry. As per the contract, I give you, minimum. Don't worry about discrimination. This is not discrimination, right? You're giving benefits based on performance, right? Just like today, A performer, you give 8% increment. B, you give 5%. C, you give 2%. That's not discrimination. You give increment based on performance. Same goes to bonus. So here is benefits based on performance. So now, your A and B will enjoy extra leave, but not your C and D. Right? Same goes to levy. I cannot understand. And, I've spoken to companies, ask them, why not training guys up? Oh, no, because we don't have enough levy. What do you use your money for? The HRDF levy? Oh, no, because we got allocate for team building. So what some company do, beginning of the year, they allocate money for team building first. And then got bila ada saki baki, okay lah, what to do training. Now, any company do that, I'm so sorry for you guys. I'm so sorry for you guys. You're putting the wrong priorities. What you could do, those A and B performers, you want to motivate them, right? You don't want them to go. You want to retain them. What can you do? Ladies and gentlemen, starting 2026, if you're A performer, we give you 3,000 ringgit from the levy money. Go into whatever training you want. B performer, maybe 1,500. C and D, if you've got any mandatory training, you go. Otherwise, no. So these are the kind of strategies that you can do. And sabbatical leave is another. Short notice period, short probation period, and there's many others, right? So when you do this, your A and B will become even more motivated. What will happen to C and D? Anybody can answer me? When you do this, what will happen to C and D? Quick, give me a quick answer. What will happen to C and D? Anyone? What will happen to C and D? Some of them will change and become A and B. Do you need rotan? No need rotan. Do you need? No need. Indirectly, they change. Easy work for you. Or some will leave. Let them go. Some will become better. Now, just imagine in your company, a majority of them are A and B. Don't worry about force ranking, bell curve. You know, those are all, I don't know what to say lah. If I can say stupid idea, I'll say stupid idea. So, genuine A, genuine B. You have very minimum C and D. Your performance up, company revenue up, company profit up, company issues down, abuse is down. That's a strategy, right? How to recruit people? You know, today recruitment is so difficult, let alone retain. But if you are doing this, your A performer, for example, I give you another strategy, sabbatical leave. So if you guys can get A for the last 5 years, at least 3A, 2B. If you can maintain or you can get 3 top performer, A means top, at least 3 years you get top performance, and the other 2 years you got good, company will give you 1 month paid sabbatical leave. Gaji berbayar, cuti. Go to Umrah, Japan, India, whatever you want to go. We pay your salary. They have earned the money for you. If you're a B performer, 2 weeks paid sabbatical leave. C and D, sorry lah, you work. So the A will feel valued. You know, he'll feel like he's being, appreciated by the company. Now, if they want to go, right, when they go for an interview, they will ask the other company, hey, as for A performance, what do you give? Extra leave, extra benefit, no need MC, this and that. Oh, no, we don't have, we all, you know, the A will say, you know what, lagi baik aku tinggal dekat sini, why better I stay here? Wait, Adeline, you pergi mana? Oh, I'm going Japan. Why? Holiday lah. Berapa lama? 1 month. Your company give 1 month leave. No. Because my company got this benefit. If I perform A 3 years in a row for last 5 years or whatever, I get 1 month free leave, paid leave. Wow. So people will hear about you guys. They will want to join company. So how can you recruit without even advertising? This is one way, right? So this is what they call as breakthrough. What most companies do, they are like, don't know what to do. How to retain people, how to recruit, how to motivate, how to get people to perform. Those are all methods, right? You got to put a lot of pressure, force, fear, right, etc. This method, 1-2 years, you'll start seeing results, right? If the C is unhappy, why I don't get this? Sorry lah, you're a C performer. Minimum is a B. Bila masuk kerja, apa kita cakap? 3,000. I told you already, you do 3,000, I pay 3,000. You're doing 2,500. Why should I pay you a bonus? So any company that give bonus and increment to C performers, you are lost. Why should a C deserve a bonus? Some people, or why should C deserve increment? You know what some people tell me? I know lah, inflation. That guy don't care about your company. Why you care about him? If you perform, I give. Here they don't perform, and you give. So who's the fool? You guys. They don't perform, but we still reward them. Remember this, every time you give an increment to the C and D performers, you give bonus, no matter how small, we are not being fair to the A and B. every time you give the C and D, right, we are depriving the A and B of higher increment. So just imagine, if you give the C performer half-month bonus, why he deserves? He don't, guys, if you're a C performer, I'll tell you this, you are bloody lucky that I'm still paying you salary. You're still lucky I'm paying you salary. Here, you don't even meet the C. Instead of giving the half-month bonus to the C performer, what we should do? Take the money, give it to the A, give it to the B. Now the A will feel, wow, I got even more bonus. Increment, take, give it to the A and B. The B will feel, wow, instead of 3%, I got 3.5. Wow. So your A and B will become even more happier. They'll become even more engaged. They'll be working harder for you because they know they can't get this elsewhere. Of course, performance drop, off they go. So if you want to change your company's direction, it's not about nice cozy corner, Apple, give an Apple annual dinner, team building, happy birthday, wish people birthday, t-shirt day, slogan day, calling a dietitian. Those things are not working. If it's working, I'll be surprised working for you. But you want to make a breakthrough, this is what you do. Okay, so let me just go to some Q&A. Just give me about a minute. My colleagues will show up. So just give me a while. Don't go yet. Let me cover some question answer. So remember this. Let me just share a few points while the questions being shown up. So remember this. Identify the activities that you guys are doing. Focus on activities that changes the fundamentals, that strengthens the fundamentals, enhances the fundamentals, not all those icing on the cake. A lot of HR activities out there, icing on the cake, doesn't resolve anything. Okay, just give me a minute. I may not be able to answer all your questions, but I will try my level best to answer as many as I could. And usually what I do after the webinar is over tonight, tomorrow, I'll go back to the questions. I will answer in that chat box so you can see the reply later. So for those of you all, if you're interested to know more, please join the masterclass, right? One of the best class in town. I can tell you this. You may have joined elsewhere, but the masterclass that we do, it's totally different from what you've experienced elsewhere. Don't believe me? You got to pay like 3,000 ringgit to see it. Okay, so let me cover some Q&A. Okay, so maybe we go to the fundamental questions first, right? Okay, just hang on a second. Let me just pick up some. Most of your answers C and D, but you're not doing anything about it. You all agree the C and D are the headache ones. They are the ones who drain your company resources, but you still keep them. Why? So do something. Okay, so do admin and operations staff entitled replacement PH? See, again, let me tell you this, it is not about the title, the job title, what they do. Admin, they are not manual labor, right? So admin staff, if you're earning above 4, you are in the green box. Red box. Admin staff earning below 4, you are in the green box. So green box, you got to pay. Red box, you can choose not to pay. You can give some annual leave, replace, whatever you call it. So Joey, admin staff earning more than 4, red box. Admin staff earning less than 4, green box. Operation staff, I need to know, who are they? Are they operators? If the operation staff are operators, they are in the green box. Whether the salary 5, 6, 7, or 1 or 2, green box. If it's a manager who's handling operations and he don't supervise manual labor, he's in the green box. If he's earning, he's in the red box if he's earning above 4. So Joey, to answer your question, you need to plot your employees, who is in the red box, who is in the green box, you will know the answer. Okay. Maybe just there's one question by Puan Sri. Wow, Puan Sri. So, IV, indirect, to ensure, okay, okay, never mind. Is there any others? Okay, now, wings. The normal, okay, this is something unique as well. Please listen carefully. Normal work hours is 8 o'clock to 4:30. The employee came late. He came at 8:05 and he worked until 6:30. He claimed for 1.5 hour OT. Can we deduct OT 0.5 hours because late. Wings, as I mentioned just now, basic hours, OT is OT. Don't mix these two up. Unless your policy says that you can come in anytime, as long as you work 8 hours, anything extra OT. But if your hours are fixed, not flexible hours, fixed hours, if you come late, let's say half an hour late, the half an hour no pay. Because your hours are fixed. You only pay 7.5. Let's say total hours 8, half an hour late, no pay for the half an hour. But the 7.5 you got to pay. Now, if he do OT, he came late, your hours are fixed, and you do OT, you got to pay OT. You cannot deduct the OT. So don't mix these two up. Basic hours, OT hours is two separate things. Unless if yours is flexi hours, okay, you can come anytime you want. As long as you minimum 8 hours finish, you stay back, I give you OT. So if it's a flexible arrangement, you can do that. But if it's not a flexible arrangement, you come late, I will not pay you for the first half an hour. You work, if the person do OT, walaupun masuk lambat, you got to pay the OT in full. If you work 2 hours, 2 hours OT, because your hours are fixed. Okay, next question. Project manager. I think there's one question. Project manager. Now, project manager above 4K, supervising manual labor. Now, Yun, interesting question. Again, Employment Act, Sabah Labour Ordinance, Sarawak Labour Ordinance, they don't follow title. You are following title. Now, what does this person do? An employee earning above 4, this is how I would question. An employee earning above 4 who is supervising manual labor. My answer, yes, they are entitled to OT because why? They are supervising manual labor. So this project manager, there's a high possibility he is entitled to overtime. So I would encourage you to get clarification from Labour Department, see what Labour Department answers you. Okay, so Yun, you've got a homework to do. Okay, EA states observe minimum 11 days public holiday. Does this refer to public holidays per se or the number of public holidays? So answer is Grace. If Chinese New Year, you observe both days, that is called 2 public holiday. If you observe both days of Raya, it's 2 public holiday, not 1. First day of Raya is 1 public holiday. Second day of Raya is 2nd public holiday. So it's not 1 day, right? So just imagine, if you observe Chinese New Year both days, public holiday, Chinese New Year you observe 2 days, Hari Raya you observe 2 days, that is 4 public holiday, not 2, 4. Okay? Employee always forgot to clock in, clock out. You know, masuk kerja, never clock in, never clock out. But the employee work. Is it proper deduct? Don't deduct IV. Because if he has work, you got to pay. You don't deduct. You take disciplinary action on this employee. First time you don't scan in, show cause letter, warning letter. Second time, second warning. Third time, third warning. Again, final, again, terminate. Don't keep people like them, right? They create headache for you. So, to me, if they work, I'll still pay them. But I will take stern disciplinary action on them. So, if you deduct, I tell you, many of these people deduction are no pain at all. Ayah, berapa yang nak potong? 50 ringgit, go lah, potong. So, it's not painful. What is painful? Disciplinary action. First warning, second, third warning, terminate. Of course, you follow the process, take due action. Okay, Atira, can we replace typhoism with annual leave? If those people, again, Atira, I think again, see, this is what I would say. You got to listen carefully. Those people in the green box, if they work, you got to pay them the public holiday rate. Those people in the red box, if they work, you can give them replacement leave. My employee is non-Malaysian, she can understand, she's nodding her head. Atira, I don't know what to say. You know, remember this. Those people in the green box, if they work on a public holiday, you must pay. Kalau you nak bagi extra leave, itu terpulang pada you. But, you must pay. Those people in the red box, if you don't want to pay, no problem. Because they are not, the OT provision doesn't apply to them. But you want to give them replacement leave, up to you as well. That one you can discuss with them. But those people in the green box, you must pay. Cuti boleh extra, but you must pay. Okay. Okay, now interesting question. So if the employee is on a monthly salary, Saturday is half day. Actually, we have addressed this in the forum. Saturday, half day. So the employee apply leave on Saturday. Should it be half day annual leave or 1 day annual leave? Answer is 1 day. Why? Because, 1 day work is 1 day work. But if you want to give them half, it's up to you, right? But Sunday is actually 1 day work. Okay, now, company declared compulsory leave. Company said you must go. First and foremost, Lance, Jati, you can't force annual leave. So if you say company declared compulsory leave, I can tell you, employee can walk to Labour Department, right? You cannot force a compulsory leave. So please, get this checked. Some staff asked to go to work because there's a breakdown. Is it double pay? Very simple. If it's a off day, if it's a rest day, right? Rest day, they come to work, irrespective whether 1 hour, 2 hour, less than half, you got to pay half day. More than half, but less than 8, you got to pay full day. Public holiday, right? Public holiday, if they work even 1 hour, you got to pay them 2 times of ORP. So go back to the wages table, find your answer. You'll find the answer there. Okay? But you cannot force annual leave. Okay, maybe there's a question by N Haji Hussein. I don't know whether Haji Hussein Johor is your dad, but N Haji Hussein, you're right. Because 26 day represents average working day. Yeah, I think you're probably answering somebody's question just now. Okay. 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 How do you calculate salary in lieu 2 weeks calculation? Very simple. Section 18A, right? Go back to Section 18A, says that if the employee only work 2 weeks, the formula is Section 18A. Wages divide total wage period times 14 days. If they work 14 days, 14 days. Now, salary in lieu is you're calculating incomplete month, right? You want to calculate notice period, how much kena bayar balik? Same formula as Section 18A. Wages divide total number of days times the notice period they got to serve. Okay, if a manager's salary more than 4K, and yeah, same question like just now, you can call them manager. Remember this, Employment Act Franco, do not follow titles. If the person, doesn't matter title, manager, director, engineer, CEO, whatever, if they are supervising a manual labor, right, they are, under this category. Yeah? But now in this case, they are not your employees, right? So he may be excluded from this, but please get it checked. Go and learn up further. Employee is not your company, not in the same company. Okay, so chances are he may not be, in my opinion. Okay, another question, this is a bit long. Okay, can my worker work overtime for about 5 to 6 hours per day, as long as not in 1 day? Please go back to Employment Act. In 1 day, an employee cannot work more than 12 hours. Christine, yes, it's 104, but in a day, they cannot work more than 12 hours. So if your basic hours are 8, the maximum OT is 4. So you cannot exceed that 4, right? If your basic hours is 7.5, the OT, how much can you do? So as long as it is not more than 12 hours of work. Now, these 12 hours excludes lunch. So let's say there's lunch 1 hour. So the total hours they'll be in the company is 13 hours. 12 hours work, and of course, you got lunch break in between or breakfast in between, it becomes 13. But the work hours portion, not more than 12 hours per day. If you want to exceed, please get approval from the Labour Department. Okay. So even if total work hours per week is 42.5, 5 days, ORP max allowed divide 8 instead of 8.5. The maximum, that means the denominator, the pembawa, is either 7.5, 8.0. You cannot use 8.5. Even they work 9 hours, 8.5. Sorry, 8.0. That's the max given under Section 60I. Others? I'm going to pick some of the ones related to wages. Okay, F&B kitchen staff, are they operators? I would say people in the kitchen staff, in kitchen, that means in all the cooking, cleaning, washing, etc. they are manual labor, right? A chef, he may not be a manual labor because he uses creativity, etc. So a cook is a manual labor. The chef may not be a manual labor. So I would encourage you all to, read up more. Okay, so Pei Ying Lam. My company don't have a phrasal form since last time. My advice to you, go to the forum. There is a automated Excel assessment form. You go to the forum. For those of you all, if you don't have an assessment, you want to start with something, there is a perfect tool for free. Go to the forum, you type in the search box, performance appraisal, performance assessment form, or something like that. Go to the forum, search for a performance assessment form, if I'm not mistaken. There'll be Excel, is automated. You can modify the rating. You start using that easy. Within minutes, your assessment is done. So you got to start somewhere. Please go and download the form. You will like it. You see the form, you'll enjoy it. You will find that, wow. So go and download the form. Okay, maybe one or two last question. Okay, if the staff is paid for OT, are they still entitled overnight? Okay, I don't quite answer. I don't quite get this question. Okay, for probationers, right? Is it compulsory to pay salary and leave for first week, if not confirmed after 3 months? Salary and leave applicable if we terminate before 3 months. Now remember this, Rainet. What does case law tells us? You will not see this in Employment Act. You will not see this in regulations and whatnot. Case law says that if you hire somebody on a 3-month probation, if the person cannot perform, you can only terminate after the 3 months expire. Why? Because you gave him 3 months chance. I cannot tell you, okay, you know what? I'm going to give you 1 hour to get it done. So I come and see you after 10 minutes, not done. I cannot say, okay, stop now, because I already given you 3 months. So you cannot terminate a probationer until the probation expires. But if the probationer, for example, started 1st January, probation expires 30th or 31st of March, but in let's say in the 3rd week of January, there's a major misconduct, sexual harassment, theft, whatever, etc. Do your DI, do your due process, he may be terminated end of January. So if there's a major misconduct that warrants a termination, terminate them. But if it's a performance issue, you got to wait until the performance period expires. So the probation period 3 months, you got to wait 3 months. If the probation period 6 months, you got to wait for 6 months. I'm very sorry for companies with probation period 6 months. You guys don't know what you guys are doing. Anybody with probation 6 months, I really pity you. I really kasihan you guys, because you don't know what you're doing. You're shooting your own self. A good period is 3 months. Okay, the unearned wages deduction, we cannot deduct, right? So Naresh, very simple. Don't use word deduction. What the law says, remember, pay for work done. You're supposed to come to work 8 hours, I pay you for 8 hours. But since you only work 7.5, I pay you 7.5. The other half an hour, I will not pay you. So you only pay for whatever work done. So don't call it deduction, because it makes things very tricky. It confuses with the other deduction. So it's unearned wages. And no need acknowledgement. Tak payah nak minta, boleh tak I tolak. No need all this. So the best way is, you need to, I hope your payroll system is intelligent enough. The system picks up the hours work. If 1 hour didn't work, the system will automatically calculate what is the work portion that you got to pay, what you don't need to pay. That's it. No need permission. So this is not that kind of deduction that you want employee permission. Wages that is not earned, you just, in other words, right, you pay for what they have worked. That's it. So no need to get deduction, acknowledgement, etc. Don't do that. If you do that, you're going the wrong way. Okay, maybe one last question, since it's already 5:15. Maybe I take the transport one. So AVJ Ng. Okay, to calculate OT, this is a good question. Do we need to include all allowances, basic allowance and fixed allowance? Yes. Remember, wages is everything except A, B, C, D, E, F. So when you calculate ORP to determine the OT, right, you take wages, everything except A, B, C, D, E. So you got to include all your allowances. except traveling allowance. So transport allowance got to be included, phone allowance got to be included, shift allowance got to be included, meal allowance got to be included, transport for sure got to be included. Only traveling is excluded. Okay? Or if there's any cost the employee incur, you reimburse them, that is excluded. But otherwise, everything is in except A, B, C, D, E, F. Go back and read again what is the A, B, C, D, E, F. Okay, I think we are done for now. There's quite a number of questions. I'll answer this over the next 1-2 days, in the WhatsApp, in the chat box. Please go and find the answers there later. So I hope I have given you some ideas, over the last 2 hours or so. What are wages? I've given you some breakthrough ideas. We've spoken about public holiday, some of the things that you got to do. I hope I've opened your mindset about what you need to do in order to bring your company from the current level to the next level, right? And just a reminder, you can see in the chat box, we have got a 5-day program. This is online, not for everyone. This is not a replacement for corporate training. It's only for 69 ringgit. These are for fresh graduates or people who are not employed, who wants to get into HR. So if you have any cousins, relatives, who do not know what is HR, they want to have an idea, what is Comment Band, what is this? Join this 5-day training. It's online. It's only 69 ringgit. Certificates are provided. It's just to give an idea. So we have done this. Quite a bit of fresh graduates, after going through these 5 days, they go for a job. They know what to answer in the interview, and they manage to get a job. So these are for unemployed graduates, fresh graduates, or any working adults. You want to pivot into HR. This could be something that could give you a bit of help. May not guarantee you success in interview, but it can give you a bit of help. So it's 69 ringgit. Certificates are provided for those of you all if you want to go. So thank you so much. Now remember this, go to the forum, download these slides, we'll share it there in a while. And for those of you all, if you really want to go learn deeper, please join the masterclass. Johor, we cancelled it because orang Johor terpelajar, so I don't disturb them. But PJ, Penang, Sarawak, Sabah, the class is still on. If you're interested, please come. If you're going to self-pay, right, we would love to help people who are paying themselves. A company don't want to pay. Don't worry about company. If company don't want to pay, you pay yourself. We need to give discounts to people who are paying themselves. Right? We've done that before, but if your company paying, you got to pay in full. If you want to pay for yourself, we will give you discounts. Right? So talk to Firhana if you're interested. So otherwise, thanks a lot. And just now, there's one colleague who asked about the assessment form. For those of you all, if you don't have an assessment form or you want to see a better way of doing it, something simple, easy, fun, straightforward, error-proof, go to the forum, download the performance assessment template. I can't recall what is the label. It's an Excel form, automated. You can modify the rating. Okay? Liana, the slides will be shared in the forum in about half an hour to 1 hour from now. Thank you so much. Have a good day. And wish you all the best in 2026. For those of you all, if you're interested to know about the changes in the Sarawak Labour Ordinance, Sabah Labour Ordinance, join us on Monday, 26th of January, 3 p.m. in a similar mode like this. Thank you so much and see you soon.